I used to run my hands through short hair that felt like it belonged to someone else's version of me, and I never told anyone that. Pixie cuts can be the most flattering thing a woman over 60 ever does to her look, or they can quietly age her by a decade in ways she can't quite name. Today I'm walking you through 7 mistakes I see constantly. The ones that turn a bold, beautiful pixie into a cut that works against you instead of for you. I researched the worst style and beauty mistakes and the best fixes for women over 50, so you get real results, fast. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. I cover this every single week. Part 1. The buzz cut trap that makes your face look harder. Here's something nobody explains before you sit down for your first pixie. Cutting it too short doesn't make you look edgy. It makes your face look like it's working overtime. When the hair sits closer than half an inch to the scalp, there's nothing left to soften the transition between your hairline and your features, and every angle in your bone structure suddenly reads sharper than it actually is. That's not you aging badly. That's math. Hair is literally the frame around your face, and when the frame disappears, the eye has nothing to land on except lines, shadows, and structure. I've watched this happen to client after client. She goes in wanting something fresh, something low maintenance, and she comes out with what she thinks is a chic pixie, but is actually closer to a buzz. She looks in the mirror at home under different lighting than the salon, and something feels off. She can't name it. It's not that she looks bad exactly, it's that she looks harder than she feels inside. The recognition moment is this. If you've ever left the salon feeling like the cut was fine, but not quite you, length might be the actual culprit, not the style itself. So here's the fix, and it's more specific than just grow it out a little. Ask your stylist for what's called a textured crop instead of a true pixie buzz. The key measurement is this. Hair at the crown should be left at 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch, tapering down to shorter lengths only at the nape and around the ears. Say exactly this to your stylist. Leave more weight through the top and crown, taper close only at the nape, and use point cutting instead of clippers through the top section. Point cutting creates soft, irregular edges instead of one blunt uniform length. And that softness is what gives your face room to breathe. Here's the snapback moment, the part that actually matters. When you add that extra length at the crown, you're not just softening your face, you're adding vertical lift, which does something almost nobody talks about. It elongates your face shape slightly, which counters the natural widening and softening that happens to bone structure over time. Women tell me they look less tired within the first week of switching to this version. Not younger in some vague, marketing brochure way. Less tired. More alert. More like themselves on a good day, all the time, instead of only on the days the lighting is kind. There's also a texture element people miss entirely. A too short pixie, especially one cut with clippers straight through the top, tends to lie completely flat against the scalp because there's no length for the hair to create its own shape. Flat hair at the crown is one of the fastest ways to visually shrink your whole head, which sounds strange until you see it happen. Suddenly your features look larger relative to your hair, and not in a flattering way. That extra 3/4 of an inch isn't just about softness. It's about giving your hair enough weight to actually hold shape and catch light instead of sitting there like a shadow. I want you to think about the difference between short and shaved. A great pixie is short. It is never shaved, unless that's a deliberate, specific choice you're making for reasons that have nothing to do with what a stylist assumed would be easier to maintain. Too many women get talked into the shortest possible version because a stylist assumes low maintenance means as short as scissors allow, when actually the textured crop I just described is just as easy to maintain and infinitely more flattering. The before was a buzzed crown that hardened every feature in her face. The after is a textured crop with lift and softness at exactly the right places, and it changes how her whole face reads in a mirror, in photos, and in daylight. And this is only the first mistake. The next one is about something almost every pixie cut woman does without realizing it's working against her from the very first appointment. Part 2. The color mistake and the fringe mistake working against you together. There are 2 mistakes hiding in plain sight in almost every pixie cut I evaluate, and they compound each other in a way that most women never connect. The first is color placement. The second is fringe length. Separately, each one is a small miss. Together, they age a cut by years, and I want to walk you through both because fixing one without the other only gets you halfway there. Let's start with color. When you go short, your hair color sits closer to your face than it ever has before. There's no length to dilute it, no waves to break it up, nothing between the color and your skin. Most women keep the exact same all-over color they wore with longer hair, not realizing that a flat, uniform color on short hair reads as heavier and more artificial than it ever did before. Solid, single-tone color on a pixie can actually flatten your whole look, making the cut feel like a wig instead of your own natural hair. The fix here is dimension, not a color change. Ask your stylist for what's called lowlights placed specifically at the root and midsection. 1 to 2 shades darker than your base color, concentrated near the crown and part line. This isn't about adding more gray coverage or going darker overall. It's about creating depth so the light catches your hair in layers instead of bouncing off one flat surface. Say this exactly. I want subtle low lights at the root and crown only, 1 to 2 shades deeper than my base, to create dimension without changing my overall color. This single change adds visual texture that a too short cut desperately needs, since there's no length left to create texture on its own. Now the second mistake, and this one is about fringe length specifically. A fringe that's cut too short, above the eyebrow line, does something almost nobody expects. It exposes the entire forehead at once, with nothing to interrupt the transition into the hairline. On a longer cut, this barely registers, because there's hair on either side balancing things out. On a pixie, where the fringe is doing most of the visual work at the front of your face, cutting it too short leaves absolutely nowhere for the eye to rest before it hits your eyebrows and beyond. Here's the snapback result the moment this gets fixed correctly. A fringe left just at or slightly below the eyebrow, with the outer edges swept and softened rather than cut in one straight blunt line, immediately reduces how much bare forehead is visible at once. Clients describe this as looking less exposed, which is exactly the right word for it. It's not about hiding anything, it's about giving your face the same kind of soft framing that longer hair used to provide automatically, now recreated intentionally at the front. Say this to your stylist. Keep the fringe at or just below my eyebrows, and point cut the ends so they sweep to the side instead of sitting in a straight blunt line. That single sentence prevents 2 mistakes at once, the too short length and the harsh blunt edge, both of which age a pixie faster than almost anything else at the front of the face. When you combine the low light dimension with the properly lengthed softly cut fringe, something happens that surprises most women. The whole cut suddenly looks intentional. Not shorter, not younger in some abstract sense, just deliberately, beautifully put together in a way that reads as confident rather than convenient. That's the difference between a pixie that happened to you and a pixie you chose. The before was flat color and a fringe cut too high and too blunt. The after is dimension at the root and a fringe that softens instead of exposes. And the next mistake is one that has nothing to do with the cut itself, and everything to do with what happens the morning after you leave the salon chair. Part 3. The product mistake that undoes everything your stylist just did. Rosalind told me something once that I think about constantly. She said her pixie looked incredible for exactly one day, the day she left the salon, and then it never looked that good again at home. Not because the cut grew out, not because her stylist did anything wrong, because she was using the wrong product in the wrong amount, applied at the wrong moment, undoing a great cut every single morning without realizing it. Here's the mistake, specifically. Most women styling short hair at home reach for the same volumizing mousse or heavy styling cream they used on longer hair, and they apply it to dry hair before styling. On longer hair, this barely matters, because there's enough length and weight to absorb the product without it becoming visible. On a pixie, where every strand is short and close to the scalp, the wrong product doesn't get absorbed, it sits on top of the hair, and it shows. Heavy cream on short hair looks greasy by midday. Too much mousse creates a stiff, crunchy texture that catches light in all the wrong ways and makes fine styling details disappear entirely. The fix is about switching to the right category of product entirely, not just using less of what you already have. What you want is a lightweight texturizing paste or a matte finish clay, applied to damp hair, never dry. The amount matters more than almost anything else here. A pea-sized amount, worked between your palms until it's evenly distributed and nearly invisible, then applied only through the top and crown sections where you want texture and lift, never through the shorter sides and back, where a heavier product will just weigh things down and go flat by afternoon. Say this to your stylist during your appointment, because they'll show you exactly how much and where. Can you show me how much product to use at home, and where specifically to apply it, so I can recreate this finish myself? Most stylists are thrilled to walk you through this, because it means you'll actually maintain the cut they gave you instead of unintentionally undoing it every morning. Here's the snapback result that makes this worth doing correctly. The right product in the right amount at the right stage gives short hair texture that looks deliberately tousled rather than flat or stiff. It holds shape through the day without ever looking like it's holding anything at all. This is the difference between a pixie that reads as effortless, in the way an expensive haircut always seems to, and one that reads as an attempt, however good the underlying cut actually was. Women notice this shift almost immediately because it changes how the cut photographs, how it holds up by the end of a long day, and how much time they spend fighting with it every single morning. There's a secondary piece here that almost nobody mentions. How you dry it matters just as much as what you put in it. Rough drying with your fingers, lifting at the roots as you go, creates natural movement and volume that a brush and blow dryer combination often flattens out entirely on short hair. Once your hair is about 80% dry, that's when the texturizing product goes in. Work through with your fingers rather than a comb or brush, so you're shaping rather than smoothing. The before was a flat, product-weighed pixie by midday, no texture, no lift, looking nothing like it did in the salon chair. The after is a cut that holds its shape and texture from morning until evening, because the product and the method finally match the hair. This one small change, the product category and the timing, does more for how a pixie actually performs day to day than almost any single decision made in the chair. And what comes next has nothing to do with product at all. It has to do with something that happens at week 6, when almost every woman panics. Part 4. The growth out panic and the ear length mistake. Colette called her stylist in a near panic at week 6, convinced her pixie was ruined. It wasn't ruined. It was growing, which is exactly what hair does. And what she was experiencing is the single most common reason women abandon a great pixie cut entirely and grow everything back out, only to regret it within a year. This part covers 2 mistakes that both live in this same window of time, because they're connected in a way most women never expect. The first mistake is not scheduling a maintenance trim at the right interval. A pixie is not a cut it and forget it style, and most women don't realize how quickly that changes the whole shape. By week 5 or 6, the crown has grown enough to lose its lift, the sides have grown enough to lose their taper, and the whole silhouette starts to look less like a deliberate pixie and more like an accident in progress. This isn't a flaw in the cut. It's simply what happens to short hair as it grows. And it happens faster than almost anyone expects going in. The fix is booking what's called a shape maintenance trim, every 4 to 5 weeks, not a full recut, just a quick appointment focused specifically on the neckline and around the ears, the 2 areas that lose definition fastest. Say this exactly to your stylist when booking. I'd like to set up a shape maintenance trim every 4 to 5 weeks, focused on the nape and around the ears, so I don't need a full recut each time. This kind of appointment is typically shorter and less expensive than a full cut, and it's the single biggest factor in whether a pixie looks intentional at week 2 or accidental at week 6. Here's the snapback result. Women who commit to this 4 to 5 week rhythm report something they didn't expect. Their pixie stops feeling high maintenance and starts feeling effortless, because the shape never has a chance to fall apart in the first place. It's the difference between chasing a look back into place every 6 weeks versus never letting it slip at all. The second mistake in this window is around the ears specifically, and it's a subtle one. As hair grows out, the length right around and behind the ears tends to grow unevenly, catching on glasses, catching behind the ear in a way that pulls the whole shape sideways when it's tucked, and creating an uneven silhouette that most women don't notice until they see a photo from an angle they don't normally see themselves from. This is Diane's story exactly. She didn't notice the unevenness in the mirror, because she always looked at herself straight on. It was a photo from a family dinner, taken from the side, that showed her the imbalance she'd been living with for weeks. The fix here is asking your stylist to leave what's called a guard length specifically around the ears, meaning a slightly longer, intentional length that grows out evenly rather than being cut so close that any growth immediately looks uneven. Say this Can you leave a bit more length specifically around my ears, so the growth stays even instead of looking patchy after a few weeks? This one adjustment means the area around your ears grows out gracefully instead of unevenly, extending how long the whole cut looks fresh between appointments. The before was an uneven, growing out shape around the ears that only showed up in candid photos. The after is a guard-length approach that grows out evenly and keeps the whole cut looking intentional for weeks longer. There's one more mistake left, and it might be the one that surprises you most because it has nothing to do with the cut, the color, or the product. It has to do with what you're wearing next to your face. Part 5. The accessory mistake nobody warns you about. Marguerite has beautiful glasses. Bold, structured, the kind of frame that makes a real style statement. And for months, they were working directly against her pixie cut without her having any idea why her whole look sometimes felt off, in a way she couldn't quite pinpoint. The mistake wasn't the glasses. It was that nobody had ever told her that short hair and eyewear have to be considered together, not separately, because with longer hair, the glasses are just one part of a bigger picture. With a pixie, they're suddenly one of the two dominant elements on your entire face. Here's the specific problem. When hair is short, especially through the temples and around the ears, there's very little left to visually balance a bold frame. The eye goes straight to the glasses, then straight to wherever the hair is cut closest to the frame. And if those two elements are competing rather than working together, the whole face can look busier and harder than it needs to. This is especially true with frames that have thick, dark, heavy arms, sitting directly against hair that's been cut very close at the temple, with nothing to soften the transition between metal or plastic and skin. The fix is asking your stylist to leave slightly more length and texture specifically at the temple area, the exact spot where your glasses arms sit, so there's a soft transition of hair between your skin and the frame instead of a hard, close-cropped edge meeting the metal directly. Say this exactly. I wear glasses regularly. Can we leave a bit more length and texture right at the temples so my frames have some hair to sit against, instead of skin meeting the arm directly? This is a detail most stylists never think to ask about unless you bring it up, because they're focused on the cut as a whole, not on how it interacts with something you put on every single morning. Here's the snapback result, and it's a genuinely surprising one. Once that soft transition exists at the temple, bold glasses stop competing with the haircut and start working with it, framing the face as a unified statement instead of two separate loud elements fighting for attention. Marguerite told me that once this one change was made, people started commenting on her glasses again, the way they used to before her pixie, because the whole look finally read as put together rather than cluttered. There's a second layer to this that's worth mentioning. The color and finish of your glasses frames matters more with short hair too. A frame that closely matches your hair color, whether that's your natural gray, silver, or white, or a chosen color, tends to blend rather than compete. A frame in a strongly contrasting color, paired with hair that offers no buffer at the temple, is the exact combination that creates that busy feeling most women can sense but never quite diagnose. This doesn't mean changing your glasses. It means asking your stylist to account for them every single time you're in the chair, the same way you'd mention a cowlick or a stubborn part. The before was hard-cropped temple hair fighting against a bold glasses frame for attention. The after is a soft, intentional transition that lets the glasses and the haircut work as one cohesive look instead of two competing statements. And that's the seventh mistake, the quiet one, the one almost nobody warns you about, because it has nothing to do with scissors at all. You now know exactly what separates a pixie cut that ages you from one that makes you look sharper, softer, and more like yourself than you have in years, from crown length to fringe placement to the product in your hand to the glasses on your face. That's not a small list. That's the whole picture, finally seen clearly. Tell me in the comments which of these 7 mistakes you've been making without realizing it. Was it the length, the color, the product, the maintenance schedule, or the glasses? I read every single one. Next week I'm walking you through the exact haircuts that flatter every face shape after 60, so you never have to guess again. Like this video, subscribe to Timeless Wisdom Path, and I'll see you in the next one.